Hola, welcome to Clear Vision. My name is Simon and all the videos here are based on my experiences as a psychotherapist. As always, please like and subscribe, leave any comments in the comment section. It always helps and it helps me keep the channel going. Without further ado, I'm going to speak about something to do with transactional analysis. What I'm going to look at here is our relationships, and in particular abusive relationships. And when I was in my training, we were often told, to not share theory with the client. And there's a good reason for this, because you can tend to move away from the issue because you begin to intellectualize it. However, there are times when it's really, really handy to use some theory. So if you are a practicing therapist out there, or a psychologist or whatever, or you're just interested, you might find this of use. So it's from Transactional Analysis, which is Eric Berne, I believe. And I'm going to look at the ego states. And in terms of relationships and abusive relationships, this could be a good starting point to see dynamics within your relationship. So Berne says, or proposes, that there are three different ego states. There is the parent ego state, there is the adult ego state, and there is the child ego state. We learn each one of these. We have all three within us, and we learn them from our childhood, from our environment early on. We learn how to be an adult from the adults around us. We learn how to be a parent from our parents, and we learn how to be a child from other children and from actually being a child. Now, your partner will also have a parent and an adult and a child ego state within them. So I always outline it like this, and Berne did the same as well. So parent at the top, adult in the middle, child at the bottom, two people, okay? Often in more dysfunctional relationships, and as well as abusive relationships, you will find there's a parent to child cross, okay? So one of you will flick into parent mode, parent ego state, if you like, and the other one will then flick into child ego state. Okay, so you get this diagonal. Or it's the other way around. One of you acts like a child, and then the other one, let's say you're both sitting in an adult ego state, one of you acts like a child and the other one reacts by going into parent state. So you get the parent-child cross, and it can work either way. Now, what does this mean? What's an adult ego state? Well, an adult ego state is a mature ego state where one is able to communicate one's emotions objectively, calmly, and to be able to listen, to be able to have empathy, to not fulfill some kind of archetypal role. So it's apart from that of being an immature, self-regulating, fully functioning adult. What does the role of the parent do? Well, the parent, in this case, makes the decisions, can be judgmental, overbearing, strict, punishing, or completely nurturing, rescuing, guiding, wrapping, swaddling someone in cotton wool, if you like. The child state is one that, again, has negative and positive connotations. So you can be a child state where you are, throwing your toys out the pram, if you like. So having an adult tantrum, not listening, you have seen adults go, la, 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 I'm not listening, or acting out, throwing things, smashing things up, acting like a child with a really, really bad temper and no awareness of consequence would do. Equally, could go the other way and not take responsibility for yourself. So children don't, this is where Berne saw it, children not taking responsibility for themselves. That's a child ego state, you rescue me, you help me, you do it for me, you, which children will ask for. Now, this can, depending on I'm not going to get into the reasons why, but depending on your experience as a child, you learn these ego states. What happens within each ego state, and this is a little bit of a crash course, but you learn a script. So and with the script that you play over and over again, which is like a repeating pattern, so you are aware of certain dynamics that you are familiar with and you know how to be, so therefore you have a script. Let's say you have a relationship which is really calm and really loving and quite mature, but you are only used to relationships which are dysfunctional and where everybody's having a tantrum, maybe there's some violence as well. What happens here is, and this is an example, the script that runs out, you're used to those dysfunctional and abusive relationships. So you have a script that you run in those. You know how to be. Maybe you play the child, maybe you play the parent, maybe you play the abuser or the rescuer or the victim, however which way it works. But you play a script, and then when that script is played out, you get what Berne called a stroke, the ego stroke. You get that kind of like, yeah, I know what I'm doing here. I know what I'm doing here. I know how to be a victim. Feels good. I know how to be a persecutor. Feels good. I know how to be an adult rescuer, etc., etc. You play a script. You learn a script. You kind of develop a script in early childhood. You run this script. You look for relationships where you can run this script, because then you get an ego stroke. Then you might find yourself in what would be termed as an adult relationship, a functioning relationship, perhaps someone in adult mode. And you're flicking from child to parent. I can't get this person to trigger. I can't run my script. And what often happens there is, unless you're willing to learn from them and from other people and for yourself and how to move into adult ego state, probably you'll leave. And now kind of going, okay, that's sad, but okay. So the ideal kind of adult relationship is adult to adult ego states, that kind of mature, empathic. It's not really nicey. You might have some very honest things to say which aren't particularly nice for the other person to hear, but you're able to communicate them effectively and self-regulate, etc., etc. When you can run a negative script, you flick into child mode, your partner flicks into parent mode. So you flick into child and go, I can't do it, you help me. And they kick right in and they go, yeah, okay, no worries, let me do it, I'll do it, blah, 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 blah. You've run your script, they've run their script, chances are, and both of you are quite happy, but actually the relationship is not functioning in a healthy way. Because actually that's if you're in child mode and your partner's, that's like a codependency thing, like an enabling thing going on in that scenario. Okay, so that's not healthy, because you're not growing, you're not becoming self-regulating, able to solve problems for yourself. You're always going to need that help, and if they get fed up and leave, or they find somebody else, you're stuck. Equally, if you're always parenting someone in that way, you may well get bored and leave, or you may well get fed up, exhausted, tired, etc., etc. Now, if you take it onto a different scenario, and you are going to flick it the other way, and you have the overbearing, judgmental, negative, abusive parent, you are useless, how, and you flick into child mode, now you may kick off as a tantrum, or you may buckle under that and become like the weak, useless child, and then there's this kind of self-fulfilling prophecy going on. So these games, as Berne called them games, you play them out in your adult relationship. So you can be in a relationship with a judgmental parental figure, and you're running that. You're both kind of culprits in this. You're both have to take some responsibility for the two scripts you're running, whichever way you're running them. Are you the tantrumy child? Are you the overbearing parent? Are you the rescuing parent and the hopeless child? Here's where it gets interesting. You can both be children as well. You can both parent each other, but the ideal is the adult to adult sitting in the middle. I will do some more videos on this. I think that's enough for today. It might help explain some of the less desirable dynamics within some of the relationships that you are having or have had. It's also a great tool for self-awareness, to look at how you have been acting in your relationships, and maybe how you keep running certain scripts. Breaking a script is hard. Rewriting a script is difficult. If you have someone who is in adult ego state a lot around you, that helps you learn, that helps you recreate your script, because you can change your script. That's the beautiful thing about it. You can change things. Once you gain that awareness, you go, oh shit, I'm always throwing tantrums. Oh, I always let my partner, I just kind of play useless. Or I'm always like doing it for them and then I judge them. And it's like, I don't want to do this anymore. And if you both want to fix that, you know, within a relationship, you both notice that there's this negative dynamic and you start to explore maybe what roles you're taking on, you can level it back into adult to adult and have a healthy relationship. You can rescue a relationship if you like. You can change. Everybody has the ability to change. So that's why I share it. I hope this helps. And in the meantime, if you are interested, there was a book written by Berne. I think he's dead now actually, but yeah. But he has a book called Games People Play. It's very, very interesting. It's a little bit complex in places, but it's, or a little bit convoluted, I'd say. But it's a good book. So if you're interested in knowing more, please read it. On a little slight, maybe more therapist psychological joke, which isn't actually that funny, but has been asked before. You develop your ego states from your two parents. So your two parents have 3 ego states each. That's 6 influences, 6 ego states, which are feeding your 3. And their 6 had 6 each as well. So it's like you've got 3. There's 6. There's yours. There's your mum's 3. There's your dad's 3. Then your mum and dad both have your their parents, your grandparents. So they've both got 3 as well, and it starts to multiply. And there is this kind of thing, sometimes it's like, how many people do you actually go to bed with? How many people do you share the dinner table with? How many people are in the therapy room? Because sometimes we have a parental figure on our shoulder, behind us, in front of us, and that could also be seen as our ego states and the influences that have filtered down through the generations that then get to us, which have also helped influence our scripts as well, given the right environment. That was maybe a little bit complex, but it's kind of a little bit tongue-in-cheek, but there's some good science in that as well. So anyway, until next time, adios, and please take care of yourselves.